Learn about recent trends in embedded computing. Some of the recent trends in embedded computing are processor trends, OS trends, development language trends, open source standards, frameworks, and alliances. Move on to processor trends. There have been tremendous advancement in the area of processor design. Some of the points discussed here: difference between the first generation processors and today's processor or controllers. There are main points are number of ICs per chip used, need for individual components, speed of execution, clock frequency, application specific process. In early processors, a few number of ICs and gates are used per chip. But in today's process, with very large scale integration, technology can pack together tens of thousands of ICs or gates per processor. ഇപ്പം ഏർലി കമ്പ്യൂട്ടേഴ്സിൽ നമ്മൾ യൂസ് ചെയ്തിരുന്നത് 8-bit പ്രോസസ്സേഴ്സ് എല്ലാം ആയിരുന്നു. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് അഡ്വാൻസ്ഡ് ടെക്നോളജി വന്നപ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് ICs എല്ലാം വന്നപ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്തു, നമ്പർ ഓഫ് ബിറ്റ്സ് ഇൻക്രീസ് ചെയ്തു. 8-bit നിന്ന് 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit അങ്ങനെ ഇൻക്രീസ് ചെയ്തു. Then need for individual components. Early processors need different components like brownout circuit, timers, watchdog timers, DAC, ADC separately interfaced if required to be used in the circuit. Today's processors have all these components on the same chip as the process. ഏർലി കമ്പ്യൂട്ടേഴ്സിൽ നമ്മൾ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ കോമ്പണൻസ് എല്ലാം എക്സ്റ്റേണലി, നമുക്കിപ്പോൾ ഒരു സർക്യൂട്ടിന് ആവശ്യമായിട്ടുള്ള എല്ലാ കോമ്പണൻസും എക്സ്റ്റേണലി കണക്ട് ചെയ്യണമായിരുന്നു, ഇൻ്റർഫേസ് ചെയ്യണമായിരുന്നു. ബട്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ എല്ലാം നമുക്കിപ്പോൾ ഒരു സ്പെസിഫിക് റിക്വയർമെൻറ്റ്സിനുള്ള ഹാർഡ്വെയർസ്, ഇപ്പോൾ ടൈമേഴ്സ്, അതുപോലെ വാച്ച് ഡോഗ് ടൈമേഴ്സ്, ഡിജിറ്റൽ ടു അനലോഗ് കൺവേർട്ടേഴ്സ്, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരു സിംഗിൾ ചിപ്പിനുള്ളിൽ തന്നെ ഇൻ്റഗ്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്യും. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ മൈക്രോ കൺട്രോളേഴ്സ് എല്ലാം. ദെൻ നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഈസ് സ്പീഡ് ഓഫ് എക്സിക്യൂഷൻ. In early processors, the number of instructions executed per second is very less, so execution speed is very slow. But today's processors, we are using advanced architecture support like instruction pipelining. That is, more than one instructions are executed simultaneously, so it improves the execution speed. And next is clock frequency. The operating clock frequency was a bottleneck in the processor design. Early processors, it could be execute at a frequency of few megahertz only, but today's processor, the execution frequency in a range of gigahertz. Then next point is application specific processors. In early system were designed using a processors available at that time, but today it is possible to custom create a processor according to the product റിക്വയർമെൻറ്റ്. ഇനി ഏർലി കമ്പ്യൂട്ടേഴ്സിലായിരുന്നെങ്കിൽ നമുക്കിപ്പോൾ ഒരു സ്പെസിഫിക് പ്രോസസ്സർ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു ആവശ്യത്തിന് വേണമെങ്കിൽ, ഒരു സ്പെസിഫിക് ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ യൂസ് ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് ആ അവൈലബിൾ ആയ പ്രോസസ്സർ വെച്ചിട്ട് വേണം നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ, നമ്മൾ ആ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ. ബട്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമുക്ക് ഏത് പ്രൊഡക്റ്റാണോ ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത് ആ പ്രൊഡക്റ്റിനനുസരിച്ച് നമുക്ക് എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും, നമ്മുടെ പ്രോസസ്സറിനെ കസ്റ്റമൈസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. സോ കസ്റ്റമൈസ് ഇറ്റ്സ് പോസിബിൾ ടു കസ്റ്റം ക്രിയേറ്റ് എ പ്രോസസ്സർ അക്കോർഡിംഗ് ടു ദി പ്രൊഡക്റ്റ് റിക്വയർമെൻറ്റ്. Then what are the different processor trends? First one is system on chip, SoC, system in package, SIP, multi-core processors and reconfigurer processors. Then first one is system on chip, SoC. Is an integrated circuit that integrates all components of a computer or another electronic item to a single chip. Here we specify that the system means the all components of a computer that is integrated onto a single chip, that is known as SoC. Here SoCs are common in mobile electronic market because of their low power consumption. The main advantage of SoC is low power consumption. Here they integrate multiple functional components on the same chip. All the different functional units are integrated onto a single chip, so it will save the board space, so it's reduce the overall design size, so it support the miniature. Main application of SoCs in setup boxes, portable media players, PDA, etc. Then example is IMX31 SoC from Freescale Semiconductor, which is mainly used for multimedia applications. and it's also cost effective. The next one is system in package or system in a package. Here the functional system or subsystem are assembled into a single package. That means any combination of one or more integrated circuit of different functionalities. It may some include passive components or electromechanical system and other components assembled into a single package that function as a system or subsystem. Here different components or functions are integrated into a or assembled into a single package. That means it containing more than one functional units into a single package, and it acts as a function as a system or subsystem. That is known as system in package, and it is a modular design approach which offering unprecedented flexibility in product development. The main advantage of or benefit for adapting SIP based technology are reduced time to market, reduced size requirements, and PCB routing complexity, as well as cost saving on PCB, enhanced performance through shorter interconnect path and local shielding. And some of the major players of SIP technology products are ATML, ML, Microsemi, and Samsung. Then what is the difference between system on chip and system in package? The terms sounds are similar, but they are different in many ways. In SoC is built on a single silicon die, but whereas SIP may contain more than one silicon die which are stacked into a single package. SIP helps surpass the limits of the SoC designs. The decision on whether to choose SoC or SIP in the design is dependent on the various factors like performance, cost, power, design flexibility, IP core availability, or footprint requirements. So based on these factors, we are selecting either SoC or SIP for the design of a embedded system. The next one is multi-core processor or chip level multiprocessor, CMP. A multi-core processor is an IC to which two or more processors have been attached for enhanced performance, reduced power consumption, and more efficient simultaneous processing of multiple tasks. We know that to increase the performance, we need to increase the operating clock frequency. If we increase the speed of execution with the cost of higher power consumption is required. So നമ്മൾ execution speed increase ചെയ്താൽ it will lead to the increase in the high power consumption. So നമ്മൾ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതെന്ന് പറയുന്നത് സ്മോളർ ബാറ്ററി എല്ലാമാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ആ ബാറ്ററി വെച്ചിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ഇത്രയും ഹയർ പവർ കൺസപ്ഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഇറ്റ്സ് വെരി ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട്. സോ വി ആർ യൂസിങ് എ മൾട്ടി കോർ പ്രോസസ്സേഴ്സ്. So here we are using multiple cores, that is two or more processors are here attached, and it will increase the performance and reduce the power consumption, and it can perform multiple tasks. And this concept employs multi-core on the same processor chip and operating at the same clock frequency and battery. Here, based on the number of cores, the processors are known as either dual core, means 2 cores. If it is 3 cores, then tri-cores. If it is 4 cores, quad cores. And these processors implement the multi-processing concept. And each core implements instruction pipelining and multi-threading. Example, Octeon TM CN3860 developed by Cavium Network is supporting 16 MIPS processor cores capable of operating at a clock frequency of 1 GHz. Here is an example of multi-core process. Here it containing more than one cores and shared a memory and bus interface, and it will be connected to the off-chip components. Then next is reconfigurable process. A reconfigurable process is a microprocessor or a controller with reconfigurable hardware features. It containing here means reconfigurable hardware features means depending on the requirements, the reconfigurable process can change their functionality to adapt to a new requirements. അപ്പം നമ്മുടെ requirements അനുസരിച്ച് it will adapt the or change the functionality. So it contains a array of programming elements, and also it containing a microprocessor. The programming elements can be either a computational engine or a memory element. And example, a reconfigured processor chip can be configured as the heart of the camera or that of the media player. Example is field programmable system level integrated circuit from ATML Corporation. It integrates a 8-bit AVR processor and a dynamically configurable field programmable gate array. So the hardware feature of this reconfigured process can be changed statically or dynamically. The dynamic changes of hardware configuration brings the advantage of making the chip adaptable to the firmware running on the processor. That is, dynamically changing means is runtime is changes, or statically means is changes at the compile time. Then next trends is operating system trends. The advancement in the processor technology have caused a major change in embedded operating system industry. There are lots of operation of embedded operating system to select, either a proprietary or a open source, or we can select both commercial and proprietary or open source. Visualization concept is brought in a picture in the embedded operating system industry, which replaces the monolithic architecture with the microkernel architecture. So embedded operating system RTOS mainly support the microkernel architecture. This enables only essential service to be contained in the kernel, and rest are installed as a service in the user space, as is done in mobile phone. ഇപ്പം നമുക്കറിയാം, ഒരു മൊബൈൽ ഫോൺ എല്ലാം കിട്ടുകയാണെങ്കിൽ മൊബൈൽ ഫോണിൻ്റെ ഓപ്പറേറ്റിംഗ് സിസ്റ്റം അതുപോലെ അതിനെ റിലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഫങ്ഷൻസ് എല്ലാം എന്ത് ചെയ്യും, ചില ഫങ്ഷൻസ് എല്ലാം നമുക്ക് ആ ഓപ്പറേറ്റിംഗ് സിസ്റ്റം ആ മൊബൈലിൻ്റെ കൂടെ തന്നെ കിട്ടും. ബാക്കിയുള്ള ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, നമ്മൾ ഇൻസ്റ്റാൾ ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടത് യൂസർ ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ. അത് തന്നെയാണ് ഇവിടെയും പറയുന്നത്. നമുക്ക് എസൻഷ്യൽ സർവീസിന് വേണ്ടുന്നതെല്ലാം കേണലിൽ അവൈലബിൾ ആണ്. റിമൈനിങ് സർവീസസ് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, ഇൻസ്റ്റാൾ ചെയ്യണം. അപ്പോൾ അത് യൂസർ സ്പേസിലേക്ക് ഇൻസ്റ്റാൾ ചെയ്യുക, മറ്റേത് കേണൽ സ്പേസിലേക്കും ഉണ്ടാകുക. Then off-the-shelf OS customized for specific device requirements and now becoming a major trend. Some off-the-shelf OS are Microsoft Embedded OS product line, VxWorks, ARM, etc. Here ARM has launched an open source OS which is Mbed OS, which is run on 32-bit Cortex-M. Is mainly developed for Internet of Things devices. Here another noticeable trend adopting by OS suppliers is device oriented design. Then next one is trends is development language trends, which is there are mainly two aspects to development language with respect to the embedded system development. One is embedded firmware, second one is embedded software. The embedded firmware, it is the application that is responsible for execution of the embedded system. It is a software that performs low-level hardware interaction, memory management, etc. on the embedded system. Here embedded firmware always comes as a embedded into the program memory of the device, and it is unalterable by the end user. Embedded software comes as either embedded with the firmware or user can install the software application later on the device. So embedded software, it is a software that runs on the host computer and it is responsible for interfacing with the embedded system. Here it is a user application, embedded firmware is a system application. Here embedded software is a user application that execute on the top of embedded system on the host computer. In early languages available for embedded system development were limited to C and C++ only, but now there are lots of languages are available for developing the embedded system such as Microsoft, C#, ASP.NET, VB, Java, etc. Next, Java. Java is not popular language for embedded system development due to its nature of execution. Java programs are compiled by a compiler into bytecode. Then this bytecode is converted by the JVM into a processor specific code. During the runtime, this interpretation of the bytecode by the JVM makes Java application slower than the other cross-compiled application. So we need to build a hardware, built-in hardware support for Java bytecode execution. That is Java in-time compiler, JIT, which is used to speed up the execution of Java bytecode. So here this is the Java based embedded application development. First we are developing the Java application which is executed by the Java virtual machine or compiled by the Java machine, which is converted into a bytecode into a process specific object code. Then that will be passed to a embedded OS. Then what are the disadvantages of using Java in embedded system development? Main reason is it's not supported for hard real-time systems because its garbage collector of Java is a non-deterministic in behavior. Then second is it's for real-time application Java is very slow. Then processor need to be built in a version of JVM. So every Java program must containing a JVM. Those processors that do not have a JVM is required it to be ported for a specific processor architecture. So Java is limited in terms of low-level hardware handling. In C and C++, it supports low-level hardware handling, but it is in the case of Java, it is very limited. Then another disadvantage is runtime memory requirements of Java is very high. In an embedded system, there is a limited amount of memory is there. But here Java runtime memory requirements of Java is very high, so we are not it is not affordable by the embedded system. Java Platform Micro Edition, Java ME or J2ME is especially designed for embedded application software. It is developed for devices like mobile phones, PDA, set-top boxes, printers, etc. Java ME applications are portable across devices. So, mainly Java J2ME mainly used for embedded application software develop ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടി യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ്. PDA, mobile phone, set-top box, printers-നെല്ലാം യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ്. Then another one, Oracle provides a embedded version of the Java Standard Edition, Java SE, with optimized memory footprint requirement for embedded application software development. So these are some of the Java software that is used for or language used for developing the embedded system. The next one is .NET CF, .NET Combat or Micro Framework for Embedded Development. Here .NET CF stands for .NET Combat Framework. It's a replacement of original .NET Framework, and .NET CF is mainly used on embedded system. Here it is a version that is customized to contain all the necessary components for application development. Why നമ്മൾ എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഒറിജിനൽ .NET ഫ്രെയിംവർക്ക് യൂസ് ചെയ്യാത്തത് എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഒറിജിനൽ .NET ഫ്രെയിംവർക്ക് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് വെരി ലാർജ് ആണ്. സോ നമ്മൾ എംബഡഡ് ഡെവലപ്മെൻറ്റിന് നമുക്കറിയാം എംബഡഡ് സിസ്റ്റത്തിൽ നമ്മളെ മെമ്മറി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ലിമിറ്റഡ് ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ എല്ലാ ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ നമുക്ക് .NETൻ്റെ ഫ്രെയിംവർക്കിലെല്ലാം നമുക്ക് എന്തിൽ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല, എംബഡഡ് സിസ്റ്റത്തിൽ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മളതൊരു കോമ്പാക്റ്റ് വേർഷൻ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പം നമുക്ക് എന്തെല്ലാമാണ് ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ ഡെവലപ്മെൻറ്റിന് റിക്വയർമെൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള നെസസറി കോമ്പണൻസ് അതിനെ മാത്രം കസ്റ്റമൈസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് നമ്മൾ കോമ്പാക്റ്റ് വേർഷൻ ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്തു. സോ ദിസ് .NET framework containing a collection of pre-compiled libraries. And this is the .NET based embedded application development. It containing variety of languages, .NET languages, C hash, VB, C++, etc. There is a compiler that compile the language, and there is a common intermediate language CIL, that is application written in .NET are compiled to a platform neutral language, that is known as CIL. And there is a common runtime language, is a runtime environment of the .NET, and it provides the functions like memory management, exception handling, etc. Here for an execution, the CIL is converted to a target specific machine instruction by the CLR. So the compiled the .NET are compiled to a platform neutral language. That language is common intermediate language. That language is converted to a target specific machine instruction by a CALR. The next trend is open standard frameworks and alliances. The open alliances and standard body are aimed towards defining and formulating the standards. The time to market is a critical factor in the sensational embedded market segments. Open sources and framework reduce the time to market in product development. Here the following features are the popular strategic alliances, open source standards and frameworks in the mobile handset industry. There is Open Mobile Alliance OMA, Open Handset Alliance OHA, Android and Tyson. The standards are necessary for ensuring interoperability. So some of the popular strategic alliances, open source standard frameworks are here used in mobile handset industry. First one, Open Mobile Alliance OMA is a standard body for developing open standards for mobile phone industry. The OMA Alliance was formed in 2002 by stakeholders from the world leading network operators, device manufacturers, information technology companies and content providers. The main mission of OMA is to create interoperable services across countries, operators and mobile terminals by acting as the center of mobile service enabler specific work. So to creating an open standard for mobile industry, we are constituted a standard body, that is Open Mobile Alliance. The main goal of OMA is to deliver a high quality and to improve interoperability and decrease the operation cost. Then second one is Open Handset Alliance OHA. It's a business alliance formed by various handset manufacturers, chip manufacturers, platform manufacturers and carriers for developing open standard for mobiles. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു ബിസൈൻസ് OHA എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ബിസൈൻസ് അലയൻസ് ആണ്. നമ്മൾ വേരിയസ് ഹാൻഡ്സെറ്റ് മാനുഫാക്ചേഴ്സും അതുപോലെ ചിപ്പ് മാനുഫാക്ചേഴ്സ്, ഹാൻഡ്സെറ്റ് മാനുഫാക്ചേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ HTC, സാംസങ്, LG, മോട്ടറോള. ചിപ്പ് മാനുഫാക്ചേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഇൻറ്റൽ, ക്വാൽകോൺ അങ്ങനെ എക്സെട്ര. പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം പ്രൊവൈഡേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഗൂഗിൾ, വിൻഡ് റിവർ സിസ്റ്റം എക്സെട്ര. കാരിയേഴ്സ് T-Mobile, ചൈന മൊബൈൽസ്, സ്പ്രിൻറ്റ്, നെക്സ്റ്റൽ എക്സെട്ര. ഇവരെല്ലാം കൂടി ഒരു ഓപ്പൺ സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് മൊബൈൽ ഫോൺ ഡിവൈസിന് വേണ്ടി ഒരു ഓപ്പൺ സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്തു. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് നോൺ ആസ് ഓപ്പൺ ഹാൻഡ്സെറ്റ് അലയൻസ്. This offers consumers a richer and less expensive and better mobile experience. The next one is Android. Android is an open source software platform and operating system for mobile devices. It was developed by Google Corporation and retained by the Open Handset Alliance (OHA). The Android operating system is based on Linux kernel. The Google has developed a set of Java libraries and developers can make use of this library for application developed in Java. It is first publicly available smartphone to run Android. The HTC Dream was released on October 18, 2008. The next one is Tizen. It's an open and flexible operating system based on Linux kernel and the GNU library implementing the Linux API by community of developers under open source governs. The TIS OS implements multiple profiles to serve different industry segments. TIS in-vehicle infotainment, Tizen Mobile, Tizen TV, and Tizen Wearable are some of the profile offered by Tizen. So it's based on Linux kernel. The last point is bottlenecks faced by embedded industry. Here, so far we discussed about the positives of embedded technology. Now, let's have a look at the bottlenecks faced by the embedded industry today. First one is performance, power optimization, and thermal management. Achieving the right balance between the performance, power consumption, and thermal management is a real challenge in the embedded design. We know that the embedded products like smartphones, portable media players, etc. in the consumer market segments are battery powered, and they should be capable of providing a reasonable good battery backup without compromising on the performance. And aesthetics. Aesthetics means slim and miniature design of the product. This high performance requirement in a low cost design without using a high ended multi-core processing unit may require increasing the power process speed, which will directly impact on the power consumption. If we are not using a high ended multi-core processing unit, then it will increase the power consumption. This can be offset by increasing the battery size, which in turn may make the product bulky, compromising the product aesthetics. Handling this increased power consumption on a small PCB unit requires additional thermal management and cooling solutions. അപ്പം നമ്മൾ ഓൾറെഡി പറഞ്ഞു, നമ്മൾ ബാറ്ററി യൂസ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ, ഒരുപാട് ബാറ്ററീസ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ പവർ കൺസപ്ഷൻ കൂടും. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ പവർ കൺസപ്ഷൻ കൂടുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നമുക്കത് അഡീഷണൽ തെർമൽ മാനേജ്മെൻറ്റ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കൂളിംഗ് സൊല്യൂഷൻ്റെ റിക്വയർമെൻറ്റ്സ് ഉണ്ട്. So, chip manufacturers are focusing on low power design to address this. So, another area for improvement in enhancement the memory speed to utilize the full potential offered by the high performance processor controllers. അപ്പം നെക്സ്റ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് മെയിൻ നമ്മുടെ മെമ്മറി സ്പീഡ് എൻഹാൻസ് ചെയ്യാനാണ് by reducing the latency and increasing the bandwidth. Then next is lack of standard or conformance to standard. Here standards in the embedded industry are followed only in certain handful areas like mobile handset. There is a growing trend of proprietary architecture and design in other areas. അപ്പോൾ ഒരു മൊബൈൽ സെറ്റ് ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ മെയിനായിട്ടും കുറച്ച് ആൾക്കാർ മാത്രമേ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നുള്ളൂ, സ്റ്റിക്കിംഗ് ഓൺ ദ സം സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ്സിൽ. ബാക്കി എല്ലാവരും എന്താണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, അവരുടെ ദെർ ഓൺ പ്രൊപ്രൈറ്ററി ആർക്കിടെക്ചറും ഡിസൈൻസും യൂസ് ചെയ്യണം. To bring innovation and cutting edge feature rich products, it is essential to have a combined effort and standardization. Then last one is lack of skilled resources. Most important aspect in the development of embedded system is the availability of skilled labor. So there may be thousands of developers who know how to code in C, C++, Java or .NET, but very few know how to use this in embedded software. So these are the bottleneck faced by the embedded industry. Today's section will ended here.